Hello, welcome yet again. This is Jesse Aineviona, an entrepreneur, a speaker, and a trainer. And here is Lawrence, a coach, life coach, and a purpose trainer, team leader at Life Signatures. I've hosted him over the previous videos to equip and empower us on how we can identify our purpose, why discover our purpose, and how do we go about doing that. In the previous video, we looked at 3 things. One, we said decide. Take a decision and say, this is it. I'm going to discover my purpose. Then the I, we said inquest. In other words, begin to ask. You know the Bible is clear. Ask and you will find. Ask and you will receive. Seek, you will find. So begin to ask yourself some of these questions. Who am I? What am I good at? Do some deep introspection, some inner reflection to discover something unique about you. And then S, we said begin to steward. Because if you don't use it, you will lose it. Begin to practice and just start where you are with what you have. Start where you stand. And then begin to move. Along the way will become clearer. Lawrence, let's take it away from there. How do we move on after we have decided, inquested, and begin to steward? How do we go ahead to unravel this purpose?
So stewardship is one of the most beautiful aspects of purpose living. And I can say what I didn't say in the previous video is that nearly everyone is stewarding.
Something, eh? Yes.
Even those ones who are not in the purpose discovery journey, they're actually stewarding something, because being a steward is someone who is managing something. For either managing it to remain the way it is or to make it better and so on, to preserve it and so on. Nearly every human being you see is stewarding something. That's why this area of stewardship is very beautiful, because you are stewarding with intelligence. Because you're doing purpose discovery. So you decide, you get the intelligence, you steward the intelligence. All right. But then as you keep stewarding the intelligence, there comes now the aha moment. Like I told you in the first video, I started motivational speaking. Because I was interested in people. I knew that I could be able to empower people, and I could be able to, teach people, inspire them, and bring them together. And I remember I remember trying to recruit people for a particular project, and this is how I normally recruit. If I needed 50 people, I would train 100 people. So when I train 100 people, I know that when I send people to the field, some will fall off. And I always want people to work with me who have my DNA. In other words, I've trained them, I've poured into them. So you don't have to regurgitate the training process and start the training process again. You just pick from the 100 people that had come. So I remember guys going away who were not being picked, saying, those guys, even if they have not given me that job, I am glad for the information they have given me. That's when I noticed that, I give a lot of life valuable skills to people, without necessarily charging them. So the aha moment came in there when I realized that, hey, wait a minute. I normally talk about individuals. I don't talk to corporates. I talk to individuals, and I'm interested to find out what their potential is, what their calling in life is, and how they can be able to find it and harness it. So that's what I call convergence. So convergence is interesting because probably you don't have 100% control over it. It is the aha. No one has a control over aha moment. It happens to you. But it happens to you commensurate to your stewardship. In other words, an aha moment doesn't come to people who are seated waiting. It comes to people who are actually in motion, doing something, and actually over maybe a considerable period of time. They have some kind of clout, they have some kind of experience, they have some kind of feedback that has come into their life, and they have feedback feed forward, and now they coalesce into something major that they say, okay, now this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is what I feel I'm going to do for the rest of my life, even if it is not necessarily clear, but they have a general idea of what it is. So for me, the general idea becomes teaching people purpose. And even that coalesce into something bigger, which is now latest, teaching people how to gain from that particular purpose that they've already found. So discover. First of all, you decide. have an inquest,
yes,
stewardship, and then the aha moment is going to come, which is convergence. We're calling it convergence. Now, after convergence, there's a time that you'll need to stand aside. The Bible says, sanctify yourself. In other words, set yourself apart. Which means once you've discovered your aha moment, set yourself apart for that. Equip yourself for that. Start refusing things that do not feed into it, into this particular purpose, and start accepting only those things that feed into that particular purpose.
Okay, so you kind of begin to sieve.
Yes,
now you realize you're not here to do everything.
Yes,
there are those that you have decided, this is in line with what I'm here for. I will focus on those.
Exactly.
Yes.
That is what we call ownership.
Yes.
Ownership is in such a way that when we start saying tourism, Amos Okesa comes up.
Yes.
Why? He's owned his particular purpose in that particular area.
Yes.
When you talk about, what can we use? What example can we? When you talk about leadership,
yes,
what names comes up to you?
John Maxwell,
and in Uganda, Samuel Bakutana. Why? Ownership.
Yes.
I mean, you can never have honor. I mean, you can never have Samuel Bakutana as the go-to person in leadership if he did not own it.
Yes.
How has he owned it? Because he's showing it to people. He's telling this to people. He's having material to do with, he's having content.
Yes.
He's having leadership experiences. He's actually doing that kind of work. And he's, quote unquote, branding himself accordingly.
Yes.
That is what ownership is.
Wow.
So when you go to my page, my Facebook page, you won't find funny things or follow of Christ.
And it doesn't mean that you're not.
Yeah, I am. But I am owning my purpose.
Yes.
So I brand myself accordingly. Why? Because I want to be known as the solution provider for that particular area.
Yes.
To that particular area.
Yes.
So if someone is looking for a purpose trainer in Uganda, they should look no further than Lawrence Namale.
So I guess the question is, when your name is mentioned,
what comes up?
What comes up?
Yeah, that's it. It will only be as a result of you owning it.
Yes.
And ownership is actually a process. And by the way, it can even be costly.
You've
seen guys who are branding themselves with banners and even sometimes going to do advertisements. It is part and parcel of ownership. Now, ownership, unlike convergence, you are 100% in charge of it.
Yes.
To the degree you own it. Do you know, sometimes, I don't know if you've seen this, ownership is very powerful in such a way that people can even ignore the content. You see a book being advertised as a bestseller.
Yes.
I remember some 10 years ago, some woman's book was all over the media, bestseller. I made sure I got that book. I was in Ghana, I think, at that particular moment in time. I got the book. I was flipping through the pages. There's absolutely nothing novel about the book.
Yes.
But the ownership that they put into it, it went out into the world in such a way that this is the book that you need to get. So, but you see, for us, we've been building a foundation, so much so that when you do your ownership, there is a lot that people can be able to reference.
Yes.
When you own, when you brand yourself, there's a lot people can be able to. They will not find skeletons in your cupboard, or they will not find nothing in your cupboard.
Yes.
Yeah.
The power of branding.
The power of branding
is amazing.
Yeah. So ownership.
Yes.
But then after ownership, this is now where we're going to go to the next part.
Yes.
Because what we've done right now, you've discovered what your purpose is.
Yes.
Now we're talking about owning it.
Yes.
To such an extent that when your name is mentioned, it comes up.
Yeah.
Or when it's mentioned, your name comes up.
Yes.
You've owned it in such a way. And that, by the way, it takes time. It takes time and it takes effort.
Yeah.
The key in ownership is consistency and authenticity. So today you're not selling vegetables and you're branding yourself as a vegetable seller.
Yes.
And then tomorrow you're now selling sweets. You're branding yourself as a sweet seller. Or maybe you can call yourself a hawker. People should know you for that particular thing. And it doesn't mean that you cannot do other stuff. It just means that this is what is relevant to you. This is what matters to you. This is what you're called to do. This is what you want to concentrate on.
Yes.
So for example, Lawrence can do sales training. I mean, I can train people on how to make sales and so on and so forth. I can train people on branding, because branding is also connected to purpose, to what I do. But for the most part, you'll not find me telling people I train you on personal branding.
Yes.
People normally, let me tell you this, people normally do not want to do ownership and branding for fear of losing business.
Okay.
So you find a guy who is saying, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And I don't know about you, I've interviewed people. Someone comes to your interviewing room with a battalion of certificates. They have a certificate in IT, a certificate in marketing, a certificate in accounting. You're wondering, how deep are these people?
Yes.
They are all over the place.
So and they have spread themselves thin.
So thin.
But not really deep.
Yeah, they're not deep.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you, the world is not looking for people who are all over the place. The world is looking for people who are niche-oriented. They know what it is and they are deep in what it is that they are doing.
So find your niche.
Yeah.
Dig deep.
On it.
Be known for it.
Yeah. That's it.
Don't try to do many things. You're not here to serve everybody.
You're not Jesus Christ.
Just do that one thing. Yeah. Just do a few things and do them.
Yeah.
Do them well.
Yeah.
Wow. When you say that, I'm reminded of a book, Grit, by Angela Duckworth.
Yeah.
Angela she was a teacher. She did a study. She made an observation that in her class, she was a math teacher. She noticed that the students that were doing extremely well were not necessarily those who were talented, genius. But she noticed a trend that these are students who loved the subject and were putting in so much effort, time, and practice. So she takes that and begins to study the top people in business, top people in military, top people in academia, top people in different sectors. And she noticed the same trend. She noticed that it's not like people are born with talent, but people have developed passion and perseverance for something over a long period of time. And when you talked about consistency, I think that's what it takes.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it. I think if anyone would, let me tell you, I normally say that the biggest battle for our lives, it is the battle for consistency.
I know.
That's it. That's the biggest battle.
These videos that
yeah.
And I think that's true because I mean Maxwell says motivation gets you started.
Yeah.
But discipline keeps you going.
Keeps you going. Yeah.
I mean, you can get excited and say, I'm going to start. Yeah, that's okay. You can do that once or twice.
Yeah.
But when the layer of motivation goes off, what remains is the discipline.
It's discipline.
And that's the consistency we are talking about. Are you willing to fail and get back up and work at that one thing?
Yeah.
And just keep on going.
I saw a quote. I can't remember the exact quote, but let me just try to paraphrase. It said that sometimes you use 100 ounces of energy to get 1 tip of results, but as you keep going, you will use 1 ounce of energy to get 100 tips of results. What has caused that? It is the consistency that has brought about that kind of power.
Sure.
A momentum. Basically like the story of a train. When the train is starting, has very small momentum. But when it keeps going and the consistent energy, the consistent flow of the train, the consistent power and so on and so forth, it is so much so that it can run through a house, run through anything that it finds.
Yes.
But when it's starting is normally the biggest part. When it's starting, even a small pebble can stop it.
True.
Yeah. So consistency is very powerful.
Yeah. Awesome. So we've looked at ownership.
Yeah.
And then convergence.
Yeah.
And then this is the thing you have decided that I'm going to dedicate my life to.
Yeah.
And so we brought in the element of consistency.
Yeah.
Just doing it. And the more you do it, the more you gather the momentum.
Yeah.
And Maxwell writes that momentum is the great exaggerator.
Yeah.
When you have it, you look much better than you actually are.
Yeah.
And when you don't have it, the reverse is true. You almost look worse than you actually are. But when you do this consistently, you garner momentum, and that is where the ball, you just begin to gain so much pace. I mean, quite frankly, I have met some people who have been in something for so long. So you meet the person and you think this person is way, up there. But when you watch them do their thing, it's more or less the normal, it's more or less the usual. The only difference is that they have been doing it for a very long time. They have garnered a big following and their branding is big.
Yeah.
So when you dedicate yourself to something over a long period of time, soon or later, the world will notice you.
Absolutely.
Great. So Lawrence, let's get into the next video, and we in the next video, we shall be able to conclude some of the steps that we can use to discover our purpose. I hope this is lighting up some bulbs for you, as it is for me. Take it away and continue to discover yourself, because the greatest thing you can do for yourself is to discover who you are. Remember that life is short. We are not here forever. We all have one bite at the apple. So while you're here, do the best with what you have before your life is up. See you in the next video.